I know that a lot of gardeners plant basil and enjoy basil as an herb and would take it out when its growing season is over. What if I tell you that you can grow basil both as an edible and an ornamental? Yes, that's right, an ornamental. So today I would like to share with you 5 reasons why it is a good idea to add basil as an ornamental interest plant in your garden. But first, let's go over the basic information on basil. So basil belongs in the Lamiaceae family or the mint family. It is an annual in my garden here in my zone 8A. So it likes full sun to part sun. Full sun is more than 6 hours of direct sunlight, and part sun anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of direct sunlight. Well draining, rich soil, that's what it prefers. And it prefers when the temperature is at least 70 degrees or higher. If I were to grow it as an edible, it would prefer part sun versus full sun. What happens is when you plant basil in full sun in my zone 8A of direct sunlight, a lot of direct sunlight here, it will bolt. What that means is it's going to flower very quickly and it's going to go to seed. But if you plant it as an ornamental, it does not really matter that much whether, it bolts or not. All right, I think we are ready to talk about the 5 reasons why you should add basil as an ornamental interest plant in your garden. And this is not in any order at all, the 5 reasons. So let's get started with the first one. So the first one I would like to talk about is the fact that the plant has already died off for the season, but it is still looking very beautiful. And the reason for that is because of its beautiful structural interest in the winter or when the season is over. All right, there it is. There's not a lot of lighting on it right now, so you cannot tell as readily, but I will show you some images from yesterday when the lighting was just right. Look at how beautiful the structure of it is. Right now it is one of the few annuals that still looks really good when it's no longer alive, giving us structural interest to the garden against the evergreen plants and hardscapes around this plant. You'll also see that it is a see-through plant, so whatever you have in the background, it will come through, such as that Everarello carex and lamb's ear and the evergreen blue star juniper there. You can see the bridge in the background, the playground area. The second reason why you should grow this plant as an ornamental interest is the fact that it attracts lots of pollinators, bees and butterflies. So if you are a gardener that loves to attract pollinators into your garden, then this plant will not disappoint as an ornamental interest plant. I apologize that I did not take a lot of photos or videos of the plant with pollinators on it, so I apologize, but please trust me that it does attract pollinators such as butterflies and bees, and I've seen like little pollinators too that I couldn't recognize, like moths and things like that. So number 3 is that basil deter a lot of pests such as deer. I have deer issues here and the deer have not touched it. I would think that if you have rabbit issues, this plant will not be touched by them either. For all the same reason is that this plant has a fragrance, and I'm pretty sure when they bite into it, it has that I guess, minty taste to it that they do not like. I have not noticed any other pests that bother this plant. I'm sure there may be some other ones that I have not experienced. So if you have experience with other pests, please let me know as well. So because it doesn't like by pests, I'm actually planting a few of them this year just to test it out around my rose bush to see if it will actually do better. I know that I always complain about the rose not looking so good foliage wise, and I think planting the basils here have helped. Now I can't say for sure, but the rose is still looking good right now, and I've not noticed a lot of foliage damage this year. Going forward, I will be planting more basils here, and I will know for sure whether the basils have done their job in preventing pests here. So let me show you. All right, so here are two basils. I had two other ones on the other side, but they died off when I hard pruned it sometime, I believe in the summer. So for whatever reason, they just never came back. Anyway, we have two here, and look at the rose. Look at the foliage. I don't know about you, but from my perspective, since I've been having this rose for a while now, the foliage still looks really good. Whether the basil has helped is yet to be determined, but we'll let you know going forward in the future whether I will have less leaf spots, for example, less just pests going onto the rose. So the fourth reason why you should grow basil as an ornamental interest plant is that it offers 4-ish seasons of interest. I say 4-ish just because it can provide you interest, you know, it's normal green foliage interest, late spring, and of course in the summer, in the fall with its bloom stalks, seed heads, and of course in the winter when it's already died off, you get that nice structural interest still, and you'll still have some seed heads left over if the many days of wind and cold temperatures have not knocked them off of their stalks yet. Let's talk about the blooms some more. So in my garden here, I have white blooms and purple blooms. So it just depends on the variety of basils that you have. I have the lime basil. I also have holy basil, and I have the Thai basil. The holy basil, from what I can remember, it's more pinkish, like pink with a touch of purple. And with the lime basil, you get the white blooms. With the purple basils, of course, you get the purple blooms with the purple stalks. So it just depends. And depending on the color blooms, you can strategically place them in parts of your garden that will stand out with the other plants. Like in my example here, since I'm here where the rose is, so this is a lime basil and it produces white blooms. And with the white blooms, I don't think they complement the yellow color of the rose really well. But I think with the purple, because you know that purple complements yellow. So I think next year I will be growing purple basils around the rose here. So that way the yellow of the rose color will stand out by itself, and then the purple of the purple basil blooms along with the purple stems will look so nice by itself, as you know, as the basil. And so what I'm trying to say is with complementary colors, each color will stand out, and together they just look really beautiful together as well. Now let's go in detail on the bloom stalks and the seed stalks. both of them, they just stand out so beautifully. I have been so impressed with how beautiful and see-through, and they just look so majestic, especially with the right lighting. I mean, it's one of the plants that is unique in my garden here. I don't have a lot of of seed stalks and bloom stalks that look like the basils. Now in your garden it may be different. You may have something like that already. Now just imagine you have a hedge of basils. Wouldn't that be so beautiful, with the structural interest of it, the structural interest of the seed stalks and the bloom stalks. Now I did something like that, I think in 2021, having a hedge of basils. When it's during the growing season, they just look so beautiful as a hedge. So that is something that you could incorporate into your garden from a design perspective. All right, number 5, and I don't think I was using my fingers with a couple or a few of them, so I apologize. So number 5 is that you can use basil and it will look great in flower arrangements with, you know, with the bloom stalks during the summer. They just look so beautiful. And again in the winter, or I should say in the fall, with the seed stalks. So I will say that the seed stalks stay longer in your flower arrangement, of course, in the fall when you're doing your flower arrangements. But in the summer, I don't remember that they last all that long. So if I had to recommend, I would choose using the seed stalks for the fall arrangement. And I've used the actual stems or branches as the I don't know what you would call it. I think you call it a scaffolding base, or as a base layer to insert all of your other plants. Let me show you exactly what I am referring to. All right, so let me show you. Let me take out one stem here. So what I did was I laid this as the bottom base, like this. All right, I think I need another one. Let's pick the one in the center. All right, something like this. Sorry, it was kind of hard to film and do at the same time. So you can crisscross it. You can take like this out, for example, and then crisscross that back. Something like that. All right, so this is loosely what it looks like, and if you have a deeper container, you just set it like that, and you can just insert the plants in there, and it will hold your plant, whatever you insert there, in place better. So I hope that makes sense. So something like this. And it leaves a nice fragrance to your arrangement as well. All right, so we have addressed 5 good things about having basils as an ornamental plant. Let's talk about 3 things that are not so good that I would like to address with you. The first one being, if you live in a warmer zone, I would say anywhere from 10 and higher. So just imagine that if you live in a warmer climate, warmer zones, basils could be a perennial or could even be an evergreen for you. So what that means is you might not want to have seed heads, you know, hanging on, because you know what that means. With seed heads, you're going to have seeds spreading everywhere. You could see with one plant of basil, there are just so many seed heads. So you can imagine the seeds could go everywhere, and now in your garden it could become a weedy plant, and we don't want that to happen. So if you live in an environment where it's a perennial, even an evergreen, you know that it is going to not only come back for you year after year, but you're going to have seeds also that could spread and could produce new plants. And depending on your condition, it may spread or it may come up readily every year. In my zone here, even though it's an annual, we do get seeds. The seeds do come up here and there, but not in a weedy kind of way. So thank goodness for that for now, since we're only in 8A. But if you live in warmer zones, just be aware of that it could become a weedy plant for you, and I don't want that to happen. So you may have to cut off all of the seed heads or most of them, so that way your garden doesn't become a garden full of basils that you don't want. All right, so here's the second thing about basil that may not be a good thing, and that is if you're planning to use basil as an ornamental interest in the fall and winter. So if you decide to do that, especially if you are a new gardener with not a lot of plants, or you just don't have a lot of plants in your garden, and then also if you have plants that are not evergreens, that are perennials, that are gonna, they're dying back during the fall and winter, is that if you do have those limitations, your basil plant may not stand out as well. I mean, they'll provide you with the structural interest and the beautiful seed stalks, but they might not be able to be seen, and they might not pop or stand out really well in your garden, because you're just going to see brown, and then if you have a lot of mulch, brown mulch, you're just going to see brown mulch and the basil, which together they don't stand out really well. So my garden is still developing, so depending on which angle you're looking at, you still might see negative spaces, which is mulch. So I am not immune to this as well. So I will show you a good example. So here you can see the beautiful structural interest of the basil with the beautiful seed stalks and just the stems. So by itself it looks beautiful, and I'm pretty close to it. Let's see what happens when we come farther. All right, so from this angle, you can see that I still have negative spaces down on the bottom there, not a lot of ground coverage. So you can see that is brown, and you have the brown of the mulch there, so it does not look too good. You can see that if I were to have more ground coverage, it would make the plant stand out better, especially from this angle. All right, so let's look at it from this angle. So you can see that there are evergreen interests in the background there, but the fact that we have brown stems and branches of the ornamental cherries in the background, you can see that right around here does not stand out, right? So that's what I mean if you have like brown on brown. So here, beautiful interest, right? You can see that the evergreens in the background are making the plant look better. But if we come and do this, you can see we mostly, right here, we have the brown in the background there. But wherever there is evergreen interest in the background, you can see how much better it pops. So here, very good. Here, not so good. But whenever we see green or another color that is not brown, it looks so much better. Even with the Japanese maple being, you know, it's a structural plant, but because it's also brown at this time, it does not look good with, the two do not look good together. If we come farther down, you see that it does not stand out as much, but when we get to here, it looks better. Now, in the grand scheme of things, does this really matter all that much? No. So if you don't care about, you know, it standing out from far away or standing out from, with other plants, and it really doesn't matter, just know that it is a structural plant giving you nice structural interest in the fall and the winter, and that's it. You can just enjoy it from close up. And that brings me to the third thing that might not be good about basil, and that is basil has a tap root. And I should say this is not a deal breaker. Same with the other two things that were mentioned that were not so good earlier. So with basil having a tap root, what that means, it has mainly one central root that gets deeper and deeper into the ground. And how it's not good is that it's harder to transplant. So if you would like to transplant a basil when it's already like growing, already kind of like mature, it's going to be harder to keep it alive. So I would suggest, if you do want to transplant your basils, do it while it's still young, and try to get everything out of the ground if you can. And the way that I have been doing this, I've just been spreading seeds all around. So wherever they come up, I just leave them be. I just don't care about transplanting them at all. But if I do need to transplant, which I will try to do next year, because I would like to have some hedges of basil, I'm going to be transplanting them way early before they have time to really establish themselves in the ground. And I'll just have to be on top of watering for, you know, at least 2 weeks to make sure that they will be okay. So they just need some tender loving care from us during that transitional period. All right, so what do you think of basil now? Is this a plant that you would like to add to your garden as an ornamental interest plant, especially after learning about the 5 good reasons to do it? If you are using basil as an ornamental interest plant already, please let us know how you like it, and also how you have been using it from a design perspective. Are you planting it in a hedge? Are you planting it in a group or as a specimen or a combination of all of them? It would be so interesting to know how you have been doing it. So with that, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And until the next one, I hope you take care. Bye for now.